Okay, so in this video, I share with you my 1-year update of the Samsung Galaxy S23 Ultra. Let's go ahead and jump in. First things first, as we take another look at the S23 Ultra here that I've been using for a whole year, a little bit over a year as a matter of fact, I am happy to tell you that this thing has been holding up beautifully. Now, if you remember, in case you're not familiar, this was the phone of the year last year in 2023. Of course, I know this could be subjective depending on what side you're on, right? But the general consensus in the tech community was that the S23 Ultra was the phone of the year. And it did win so many hearts, including converting many people from using the Pro Max series from Apple to the S Ultra series with Samsung. But anyways, let's first take a look at the display here. One of the reasons this phone was so loved, or is still so loved, is the display. The display on this bad boy is fantastic. Huge display, by the way, 6.7 inches, dynamic AMOLED display here with support for high refresh rate at up to 120 Hertz, added to the fact that this is a very bright display. 1750 nits is the peak brightness on the S23 Ultra. So beautiful display, and it can get extremely, and I truly mean it can get extremely bright. Now, I do have the S24 Ultra that you've seen here, and the nits, well, it's up to 2600 nits in terms of brightness. And it's weird, but I'm gonna tell you that despite this having, well, at least on paper, being brighter on paper, the S23 Ultra still seems to be brighter. And the major reason for that is because you don't have that anti-glare coating that you have on the S24 Ultra, on the S23 Ultra here, but I digress. This is just to illustrate how bright and how beautiful this display is. If you are familiar with what Samsung does, they make very, very nice displays. And one thing that they do, at least they make that an option now, is you can toggle this in the settings, but there's always a little bit of oversaturation, right? So colors tend to pop more on Samsung devices generally, and that is the case on here also. So it's been such a nice device to use. It's always been my main phone, even though I have an iPhone 15 Pro Max as my secondary phone, but this has always been my main phone, and it's also the general consensus that everyone who owns this phone is mostly because of that beautiful display. Let's talk about performance. Performance since day one, well, give or take 2 weeks or so, for that time during which it was adjusting to my usage or to my using habits, right? Since then, performance has been nothing but top level. I have not seen a drop in performance. If anything, with the updates, I've seen performance get better over time, over the past year. This is a beast of a phone. If you are in the market for a flagship device, including the S24 Ultra, you should actually be considering this more, the S23 Ultra, because it's not a major jump from here to the S24 Ultra. You still get a ton of the goodies that you have on the S24 Ultra. The AI stuff added to the S24 Ultra is going to be added to the S23 Ultra in the future. But anyway, so in terms of performance, you don't really have much to envy other devices, other flagship devices out there, right? It is loaded with a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 made for Galaxy. If you remember, the partnership that Qualcomm, did with Samsung was to tailor that chipset and make it so that it can optimize this phone to the highest, to the best that it can. The chipset alone is already top-notch, and of course, it was adjusted to perfectly fit the S23 Ultra here. And of course, you did have the new cooling chamber, so obviously temperature will change, of course, as you use the phone. But I have not encountered a situation where it got really, really crazy warm, despite me being a power user and using this for multitasking and gaming. This is actually even a good phone for gaming. And as I mentioned, the combo of that chipset along with that cooling chamber is just make it for perfect heat management and also battery allocation, right? So in terms of battery, you have a 5,000 milliamp hour battery loaded here. That's a large battery, and it's managed that battery so well that a year later, I'm still not noticing any drops in battery usage. I'm still getting the entire day with some change, with some battery life left at the end of the day when I put it back on the charger. So this is technically, if you kind of mid-level user, this should last you 2 days, because it definitely lasts me the entire day, and I have some I can actually use into the next day, but of course I would have to charge. So what I do is I just charge it at the end of the day. Now I did skip the very first step when I typically do these, 1 year update videos, right? The first step was to tell you how it's been holding up physically. Cosmetically, it looks fantastic. It looks new. I have a case for it, so it's been protected and it looks very new. However, on the front here, I believe this is Gorilla Glass 2 Victus, I believe. Yeah, this is Gorilla Glass 2 Victus. I do have a couple of scratches. Like, you really have to look for those scratches in order to see them, right? You have to put them on an angle in order to see them. And that is simply because I do not have a screen protector. So the display here, the glass is actually very resistant. I've been using this for a year. It's been in my pocket. At times it's been in my backpack, and I only have a couple of those, hairline scratches, so micro scratches, I should call them. That tells you that this thing is built for tough. Now, other than that, I don't have any dings, anything else on the phone. I've never dropped the phone, so good to go there. Now, quickly talking camera here, it has been fantastic. Sure, there's been an upgrade on the hardware when it comes down to the S24's camera, but I can tell you that using both phones, there are times when I prefer pictures coming out of the S23 Ultra, and there are times where I prefer pictures coming out of the S24 Ultra. If you remember, to those of you familiar, they did replace or change or upgrade one of the lenses that you have on the S23 Ultra. But other than that, this is still a flagship device that takes fantastic pictures, fantastic videos as well. So this is a top-notch flagship phone. Now, remember, this video, by the way, is not really a comprehensive, a detailed review of what the phone is. I've done that already. I've made multiple videos reviewing the S23 Ultra. If you want to go ahead and watch those videos, make sure, of course, to click on the tab there and search for the video. Today, I just wanted to give you an update as to what it's been like using the S23 Ultra for the past year. So with that, I'll go ahead and do a very quick recap, starting off with just the outside. As I mentioned, solid. It's a bulky phone. It's a big phone, right? It feels very, very well built. It's premium. It feels premium in hands. I don't have any dings anywhere, but on the display, as I mentioned, I have a couple of micro scratches there, and that's simply because I don't have a screen protector, and I've been using this for a year. It's been in my pocket, in my backpack, on the desk, and all that good stuff. And I think, in my personal opinion, not that I think, in my personal opinion, that is very, very resistant. So that, Gorilla Glass 2 Victus is doing a very good job. In terms of performance, it has not gone down. It's actually gotten better, especially with the updates that the phone has received over the past year. It's been performing very, very well. Battery life has been excellent, and I have not noticed it go down. So if you are in the market and you're looking for something like this and you were worried about what battery life would be on this, I'm here to tell you that it is fantastic battery life. In terms of camera, still a top-notch camera. I would argue that this phone, even though it was dropped last year, could actually compete with a bunch of phones that are flagship phones being dropped this year. So overall, the S23 Ultra is still the king as we wait for the next phone of the year. This phone of the year is still the one to go after. So I'm going to have some links in the description if you want to go ahead and pick up this phone here just to check it out, to see. Remember, Samsung gives you 14 days for you to play with the phone to see if you like it. If you like it, you can keep the phone. Otherwise, you can always return it and get your money back guarantee. So I'll make sure that I have that link in the description. Now, did any of you guys pick up this phone? What is your experience like, or what has your experience been like using the S23 Ultra? I would love to hear about that in the comment section. Make sure, of course, to like the video, share if you know anyone who would be interested. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't done so. Subscribe to the channel. I'm going to catch you in the comment section, like I mentioned. I'm also going to catch you in the next video. Up until that next video, of course, as always, stay safe out there.